not worthy of an ovation. We certainly will. And I am just trying to make sure, I'm assuming, a lot of times I stand up in front of where this is. It's a little awkward. I'll have to work with this a little bit. But in any event, first thing I would like to go ahead and say is thank you. We are very pleased to be opening up a location here in Bennettsville. We've actually been open a couple of weeks, and I want to give a shout out to McLeod's because they've been very gracious in helping us find space and making sure that we can bring additional services to your area. We're working with McLeod not only here in Bennettsville, and that's where we're going to be located, out by the old hospital, but also with McLeod in Sherrod. We're located also at a location there 1 day a week. So we're a little bit more invested in this region. We've just come out, been here for about the last year now, between Sherrod and last few weeks here in Bennettsville. But we're very excited and interested in serving you. And what we're just really want to do is just have a brief overview and talk a little bit more about hearing care, hearing loss, technology, what's going on, and why you should care and why you might want to do something about it. Because I think it is one of those things that's often overlooked by most people. They don't really think about it, as was mentioned, about hearing until there is a very significant problem and someone else brings it up. With that, Sarah, why don't you go ahead? Here we go. A little background on me. I did graduate from the University of Hawaii. That's always a great conversation starter. Everybody loves to talk about Hawaii a little bit, but that's where we did go ahead and graduate. My family is from the Carolinas. I do live in Darlington. Been with Conway Rotary now for, about 10 years now. In any event, that's fine. Got family, invested in the community is all that's really trying to go ahead and get done. We do have our locations. Conway is our first and largest location, and that was, if you saw that at the very beginning, that was the location that came up on the screen, was Conway. We've also been open in Hartsville for a number of years, more recently Sherrod and Bennettsville. Long story short there is we're growing, and we just do care about the communities that we do work and operate in, and that was one of my things about Conway Rotary is that I may live in Darlington, but wherever I'm at, I invested in that community. So as I'm seeing that you've got different fundraisers or different things that you're doing, do feel free to call on me for help and support. I don't like to take from the community. I like to go ahead and be a giver. In any event, the topics we're talking about is how we hear, obviously prevalence and causes of hearing loss, common signs of hearing difficulty, and again, technology and communication solutions. Basically, we got a nice picture of an ear. How we do hear is our ear is basically a big old funnel. It collects sound, vibrations coming down the ear canal. It strikes the eardrum, we've all heard of it. It is aptly named the eardrum because it does resonate and vibrate. As those sound vibrations come in, that energy gets transferred across three little bones of the middle ear into the inner ear, the cochlea. We've got a little more on that. You can click on that. Again, as I was stating, sounds come down through the ear, down the ear canal to the eardrum. And what you'll see now is that eardrum actually beginning to vibrate as these sounds travel through. The middle ear consists of the three bones you may remember from high school, amarandal stirrup or malleus incus stapes, if you like the Latin terms. The vibrations then go ahead and vibrate the stapes foot plate there at the oval window leading into the cochlea. The cochlea is really where the hearing takes place. It's a fluid-filled chamber with about 25,000 little nerve hairs. And what happens is those waves come through, it stimulates those nerve hairs, and they in turn fire and send a message up the auditory nerve to the brain that processes that sound. And what you're going to see is just that cochlea in action right now that kind of vibrates from those waves, and the nerves in turn fire. It's a pretty complex process how we actually hear. It is a little bit more than just worried about wax blockage, but in any event, there are a number of different problems that can cause difficulties. We'll get into that a little bit later. All right, prevalence, we're getting at. Everybody knows somebody that doesn't hear well, okay? Actually, 15% of the adult population in the U.S. suffers from hearing loss. We're talking millions and millions of people. And one of the reasons I am trying to talk to you is it's largely overlooked. As it says, only 16% of the people that do suffer from hearing loss are actually doing something about it, actually benefiting from hearing instruments or have even tried them. And I think that's mainly because a lot of people have as we move on, but pointing out, it is a very prevalent problem. It is more common as we do age, and it's actually, by the age of 70, 50% of all folks do suffer from hearing loss. It does increase with age, but it's across the gamut of the age population. All right, cause of hearing loss. We've got hereditary effects. Obviously, if your parents had a hearing loss, you're more likely to have it. So hereditary factors do come into play. Age-related changes. As I was just sitting there saying, I think that number of birthdays has a big reflection. It's about how much more opportunity we've had to be exposed to loud noises. Loud noises, the last one says, is really the leading cause for hearing loss. Whether it be from work or recreation, motorcycles, chainsaws. If it's loud, you're having to speak up, that can be damaging to your hearing, plain and simple. And side effects of certain medications. If you read just about every medication out there, I may be overemphasizing, but there are many side effects, and oftentimes hearing loss is one. All right, how do you know if you have hearing loss? Well, the people sound like they're mumbling. The biggest point that people will tell me is, I hear, it's just not always clear. Sounds like people are mumbling. That is the most common description. Because no one wakes up one day and is suddenly deaf. It's a very gradual process, and it does just come on very insidiously, such that, okay, we're fine as long as we're sitting near each other, but groups, crowds, distances play a role. So difficulty hearing someone call you from another room, distant. People going ahead and turning up the television. That's a pretty good telltale sign that the person listening to the television, hey, it's a comfortable level for them. They're not presenting it loud. I'm just turning up where it's comfortable. If other people think that it's loud, there's probably a loss there. Really, that's what's going on. We're not hearing softer sounds as well as we once did. We can still hear, they just need to be louder than normal. And oftentimes we start to limit social activities because we don't like to go to parties because we really can't communicate effectively. Conversations are going on, we're doing that smile and the head bob because we're having difficulty understanding what's being said. Defined family or friends may have to repeat themselves. It's just harder to follow those conversations, whether it's in meetings or groups like Rotary. Noisy places are definitely one of the first areas people notice. As we move on and it becomes more severe, there are high levels of anxiety. People are finding that, hey, maybe sometimes people feel like they're talking about it because they're not talking loud enough that I know what's being said. They feel isolated, withdrawn. And again, going back here, difficult to understand. We've already gone ahead and said that, but what's going on is that a lot of times when people don't fully recognize that hearing loss, what they are doing is they're compensating. And how they'll often compensate is you really concentrate so much harder in understanding what's being said, whether you're having to go ahead and watch facial expressions, thinking more about the subject matter, going ahead and looking for hand gestures, body language. We're hearing it, but we're complementing it with these other aspects of getting that communication through. The effort becomes very, very difficult sometimes. And oftentimes people that have the hearing loss say they sleep very well at night because they're tired. It's a lot of work to understand what's being said all the time. What we're talking about here is our ears are the conduit for hearing, but it's truly your brain that processes that information, what it's hearing from both ears, to make sure that we're understanding clearly as well as being able to figure out where sounds are coming from and isolate those sounds in noisier environments. This is one of my favorite slides right here. The reason I like to talk about this one is that most people think that, well, hearing loss is benign. I mean, maybe I don't hear all that well, but what's the concern? Why do I need to worry about it? Well, we can go along here and we find that there's a much higher incidence of hearing loss with folks that have diabetes. Okay. We're finding that people with hearing loss oftentimes need to be hospitalized more often. We're actually demonstrating studies finding that untreated hearing loss leads people are dying at a younger age. Because you just keep going right along down here. We've got kidney disease, falling, And this was when I was just reading on a study more recently. I was trying to understand why falling. And they're saying, well, in actuality, your brain gets information from everywhere. When we're walking, just listening to your shoes rustling across the floor that you're on, it's able to go ahead and better understand what position you're at, where you're at. Hearing even as a team player in your balance, keeping you from falling. But with the hearing loss, you're 3 times more likely to fall. We mentioned about depression. Hearing is what connects you to others. It is that social communication, why everyone likes to be here at Rotary. We enjoy being with other people. We do want to go ahead and communicate. And if we can't hear and communicate effectively, we do become isolated, and there's higher levels of depression and anxiety. And anxiety moves over to cardiovascular disease. They're not sure whether hearing loss leads to cardiovascular disease or heart disease leads to hearing loss. But there is a strong correlation. And it could be because we're not hearing well, we are more anxious and that anxiety is there, or poor blood flow not leading to the cochlea is causing it. Bottom line is there's some very serious issues. And the number one that they just came out with or discovered about 2 years ago is brain function and decline. Alzheimer's. If you have a hearing loss, you're twice as likely to develop Alzheimer's. If you have a severe hearing loss, you are 5 times more likely. If we're not stimulating those neural pathways, if we're not hearing what we should, it has a whole host of effects on our overall health. Why am I saying all this stuff? Well, I'm saying it because in actuality, only the elite physicians, only about 14% of your primary physicians are screening for hearing loss. I'm talking to them, telling them the same thing. It's not a benign thing. It's not something to ignore. It has major health issues, but more importantly, it has social effects. It's how we're connecting with our family, our friends, any event. I'm here trying to get everybody excited to run out and get your hearing checked. Go on. Taking action. Well, if you do take action, what are we going to be doing? Well, it's a quick screening. It's not very difficult. We do just go ahead and evaluate that here. We'll put you in a booth, play some different tones, and just try to find out how well you're actually hearing. We do both the ears, different tones, because most people do hear differently for different types of sounds. Assess those communication needs, depending upon if there is loss and severity and types. We talk about what are your different options. Be able to go ahead and explain what would be the next course of action. And technology, which I'll be getting into more, but one of the big things that I think is really surprising is the size of these instruments. Most people remember great big old hearing aids. The hearing aids that we have today truly are invisible. You don't see them. You don't recognize people that are wearing hearing aids if you can't see them. They have disappeared, and they're extremely effective. And then, of course, we're going to answer any questions that you may have. Protecting your hearing. Basically, what we want to discuss here is, well, the number one reason for hearing loss is exposure. You're going to go out hunting. You're going to go riding motorcycles. Protect your hearing. You want to wear those ear muffs or some types of hearing protection. You don't want to damage it. Being around a jet engine is typical, saying an example of 140 decibels, which hearing loss is pretty imminent at that level. 135 decibels might be a firecracker or different types of firecrackers going off, gunshots. And as we're coming on down decibels, just kind of talk a little bit more about how we measure that sound. But even cutting your own grass with a lawnmower. I'm one of the few people that actually does wear ear muffs when I cut the grass. Highly recommended. Again, if you've got to raise your voice over that particular noise that's going on, whether it's music or it's a lawnmower, something that you don't hear to hear, you need to wear protection because that's the only thing that's going to save that hearing. If you expose yourself, and it's all about how loud is the sound and how long are you exposed to it. And that's where age comes into play. The longer we're around, the more exposure we typically have. That's the only reason, I shouldn't say the only, one of the main reasons that hearing loss becomes higher incidence of age. Alright. What we're looking at here, we've got a custom tailor. Alright, you've got many, many options out there these days about doing something. Okay? You could even find some type of amplifiers, mail order amplifiers, or I've seen drugstores having different things. Hearing loss is not a one-size-fits-all. It's kind of like going out there and you just want to grab a pair of glasses and hope that they fit. That seems to be the approach many people have. You do want to go ahead and make sure that your hearing is properly evaluated and that you're getting the right hearing instruments. And one of the ways that Sound Solutions does set the difference is that we're not a name that you've heard of. Everyone has heard of Beltone or has heard of Miracle Ear. They've spent a lot of money in their marketing and advertising to make sure that you're familiar with it. What most people don't realize is Beltone is not a manufacturer. They're basically a marketing company that stamps their name on one of those manufacturers right there we represent. Miracle Ear is the same way. They're taking one of those manufacturers, stamping their name on it, but you're going to pay a premium for a name that you understand, a name that you're familiar with. It's kind of true in many different markets, but we do work with all of the different manufacturers to make sure that we really are able to find you the best products at the best prices. That's what everyone's interested in. With that, I do want to bring up technology. Okay? Where hearing aids have changed dramatically these days is that they do way more than just help you to hear better, but they allow you to connect to cell phones, office phones, landline phones. The audio from that phone can be transmitted directly so that the hearing aids are actually a wireless headset. You don't actually have to have your phone out. You're going along, you've got to be somewhere trying to hold this into a right. It's great. The phone can be on your belt. You can go ahead and hear binaurally or with both ears the stereo effect. You're hearing the sound quality is far superior to try to hold it to just one ear. You can go ahead and connect it to computers, televisions, anything that has audio can be transmitted, connected right through those hearing instruments. It's just one of those things that I think is a huge change in the way things are evolving, and we can help out whether you might be in church or different situations. We can get that audio where you can hear. Now, eliminating background noise, there's different ways of trying to go ahead and discuss and position yourself in different rooms, but one of the things that's also going on in the technology, the hearing aids recognize speech from other types of sound. Whether it's background noise or motors, we're actually able to put the emphasis on that speech. And that's why I'm saying they have changed so dramatically. They really are truly little miniaturized computers. But this area is really what does, it's the effects, okay? When you can actually communicate more effectively, they've actually done studies that you're far more intimate with your family members. Being able to communicate effectively, a lot of times people don't realize it, but it puts a lot of stress on a relationship. Whoever it is having to raise their voice to talk to you. They can't help it. You raise your voice, you get a little bit angry. That's a stressor in a relationship that is unwanted and unnecessary. So it reduces that stress. We're more confident when we're having those conversations. It is a significantly improved quality of life. And that's what I'm about. Now here's a shout out to just one of the manufacturers that did help us put this together, but Oticon is probably one of my preferred manufacturers. They're probably they're in the top 2 right now of producers worldwide, but they are the ones that's the leader as far as doing research on communication and newer technologies specifically devoted to the hearing impaired. It's kind of nice. One of the differences, they're in Denmark. We're in Denmark. It'd be a lot easier because the government pays for hearing aids there, so they go ahead and take care of a lot more research there. With that, I do want to know what questions anyone has. I would like to go ahead and open this up because I'm still trying to get a better understanding of. I throw out all the Rotarians, and I throw this out regularly. We've got different vouchers that would allow everyone to go ahead and come in and get their hearing check for free. And I invite everyone, and I'll go ahead and offer that right now, that you're welcome to come in and get your hearing check for free. I'll throw out a little personal story about my sister who was involved in a car accident. And she went ahead and had a lot of problems and issues from that, but one of them happened to be hearing loss. And in any event, the insurance company wanted to fight her and say, well, how do we know you didn't have the hearing loss before the accident? We think that you did. She never had it tested. She had no way to prove it or verify that the loss came from the accident. And they didn't pay or help her from that disability. I'm just trying to get practical reasons and thoughts, but I do know that people are very reluctant just to go ahead and get their hearing checked. And I'm going to just pull up. Have you ever had your hearing checked now?
I'm wearing hearing aids.
Hey! Excellent. And I'm glad that you answered that. My point is that oftentimes people are reluctant. And I am wanting to better understand how I can better serve you, because I very much would like to get everyone to come in. And I do know that there's lots of different reasons, but would anyone care to share why they would choose not to, or why they have? I'm just trying to go ahead and get that discussion going.
I think if you found you need it, it's expensive.
Okay, so an expense is one of the concerns for not doing something about it or getting it checked?
Either one.
Okay.
Either one.
Well, the initial one I'm throwing out there is a free voucher to go ahead and get it checked. Now, I admit, I'm not in Denmark. I can't give the hearing instruments away. But what I try to go ahead and do is help people to understand exactly how much loss they have, because I think that's part of it. Most people underestimate the hearing loss that they have. The big common answer I get is, well, it's not that bad yet. Not that bad. How broken does your arm need to be before you get a cast? But it is one of those things of helping them understand, because we'll do some different speech testing, and it is kind of interesting for people to learn, wow, didn't realize that without those speech cues, or without that subject matter, or without facial expressions, relying on their ears alone, we just work through a few different things to really find out where they're at. As far as the expense goes, that's where the different manufacturers come in. I hate to use this analogy, but it applies. A car. You can go out and you can get maybe a Yugo and a Chevette's a little bit old, but we all can still remember and relate to them, versus a Rolls Royce. Well, everyone hears the price of a Rolls Royce. Yeah, that's expensive. That's not the only options that are out there. There is something for everyone. The choice of doing nothing because of expense, well, something is always better than nothing.
Brad, how much is a Rolls Royce?
How much is a Rolls Royce? Let's go straight to the top again. I would tell you that I have seen folks out there that are fitting hearing instruments as much as $10,000 to $12,000. I do not. I find that premium instruments, you're looking at high-end. Would be the worst that you could probably get to is about $8 grand. That's with all the accessories and everything in the world.
And insurance is not paid for them, right?
Insurance, and one of the reasons that I'm able to go ahead and say, hey, come in and find out where you're at, is that insurance will cover that. That's one of the reasons I can readily say, hey, here's a voucher. You know, more than chances are very good that your insurance will cover the cost of that screening. If not, we will leave it. I'll go ahead and take that chance. The instruments themselves, there are a variety of insurance companies that do, but by and large, no. It seems to be that most insurances are for quantity of life, not quality.
How do you staff your locations? What do you have on staff?
Well, I have staff, in between Chirac and Bennettsville. I'll admit these are satellite locations for us. So we're right now just seeing what the market bears. We're only here Monday afternoons, so we're here half a day a week. We're also in Chirac all day Wednesdays. And with the McLeod setup, it's very nice. We're able to roll in, roll out. We're practicing with Dr. Dice in Chirac. We do all of his diagnostic testing, actually from both locations, but we share that space with him over there in Chirac. Here, we're sharing a space at the doctor's office as well. In any event, as far as the staffing goes, I do try to get to all the locations, but Andrea very much helps me with a lot of that staffing aspect. And most of the staff that we do have are able to handle the lion's share of what it is that we're needing to go ahead and do. Maybe not all the diagnostic testing, but most of what ends up happening if we do end up getting hearing aids, they just need to be serviced and cleaned and just checked out the batteries, and staff can handle that for the most part.
Are you connected with ear, nose, and throat or audiology
So basically what it boils down to is that the first step is just to go ahead and get your hearing checked. If there's an underlying medical problem, we're going to get you to Dr. Dice or some other ear, nose, and throat specialist for the medical problems. But 90% of the time, it is not a medical complication. It's what we call a sensory neural hearing loss that is treated with hearing instruments. Regardless of the loss, the statistics are that 95% of people with hearing loss can be helped with hearing instruments. If you're in that smaller percentage, we're going to make sure that you get the appropriate care that you need. Yes?
How complicated is it to connect the hearing aid to a mobile phone, or would you be able to do that, or do you have to go to the office?
Initially, what has to happen is it has to be, as the hearing aids are being programmed for you, we're going to ask those questions, do you happen to have a mobile phone, and make sure that the software is set up that it's going to be able to connect with that phone. With that, it's just going through your phone itself, turning on the Bluetooth, hitting connect, and it's connected. It is pretty simple. It's just making sure that if there are any accessories required doing that, that they're properly prepared and set up with the
If you change the phone, you have to go back to the office with it.
No. If once all that was set up in the instruments, if you were going to go ahead and change phones, you just go through your phone and read what they call pairing. It's through Bluetooth, so it's just pairing. Any other questions?